You're traveling through the unknown, a journey beyond the corners of reality, where the shadows whisper and the chill runs deep. Welcome to the dimension where your deepest fears are given form. This is the Midnight Mystery.
Welcome to the Midnight Mystery. Today's episode is called, I Discovered the Chilling Truth Behind Our Lost Memories. In each episode, we delve into the shadowed corners of our existence, bringing you tales of the eerie, the uncanny, and the downright terrifying. From the realms of the supernatural to the depths of the human psyche, no stone is left unturned, no dark secret left hidden. As the clock once again draws near midnight, prepare to embark on another adventure into the uncanny, the eerie, the horrifying, the Midnight Mystery.
The first rays of morning sun peeked through my bedroom curtains, and like clockwork, I opened my eyes. Another day in our odd little town. Here, we had a rule, a weird one, but we all lived by it. At midnight, poof, all the memories of the day just vanished. No one knew why or how it started, but it was the way of life now. I stretched, my fingers brushing the well-worn journal on my nightstand. Opening it, I began my daily ritual of catching up with yesterday James. Morning toast with strawberry jam, rain in the afternoon, met Ben at the library. I read aloud. The little details made me smile, even if I didn't remember them. Just as I was about to close the journal, there was a knock on the door. Morning, James. It was Ben, my next-door neighbor and longtime friend. Ready for our morning walk? I smiled. Of course. Just give me a minute. As we walked, the streets were busy with people sharing notes and pictures, trying to catch up with their previous day's self. You wrote about our library trip. Ben grinned, pointing at my journal. Yeah, apparently you recommended a new book? Ben laughed. Did I? Oh well, hope I had good taste. I chuckled. I guess we'll find out. We continued on, the morning air crisp and cool. The town center was always bustling. At the heart was a giant board, the memory board we called it. Every day, people pinned up essential notes or memorable photos, hoping to help others recall shared memories. Hey, look, Ben pointed. A picture was pinned up from what seemed to be a town gathering. We're there at the back. I squinted, trying to see. Ah, there we are. Good times, I guess? Ben laughed again. You and your humor, always intact. I shrugged, smiling. Well, it's written down. I'm always funny, apparently. It might seem strange, this life of forgetting and remembering. But we had our ways to cope. For me, it was the journal. Every evening, I'd pour my day into it. The good, the bad, everything. And every morning, it was like reading a mini-adventure starring me. Ben nudged me. Remember to write about our joke today. I winked. Only if you remember to forget it. He chuckled, shaking his head. You and your journal. You know, most of us are content with just videos or pictures. But you? Old school? Can't help it, I replied, holding up the journal. It's like a conversation with my past self. In a world where yesterday was always a mystery, today was all about making memories, even if they were just for a day. We headed to the communal area, a large open space with benches and the grand memory board. Beyond the board stood the majestic town library, a symbol of our adaptation to this bizarre world. Books and videos had become our lifelines, the way we held on to a past that always threatened to slip away. Hey, James, did you record the town's meeting last night? Lila, a teen with a knack for video blogging, approached us with her camera. I shook my head. No, I usually stick to writing, but I'm sure someone else might have. Check with Sam. He was talking about recording it. Thanks. And hey, don't forget to check out my new video blog. It's got a hilarious bit about Mr. Thompson's cat, she said, jogging away. Ben chuckled. That cat is becoming quite famous, isn't he? Just goes to show how important capturing moments has become, I mused, watching as people flocked to the library and bookstores around. I mean, look at this place. It's thriving. Ben nodded. Remember when we were kids? Libraries were quiet, now they're always buzzing. I smirked. Well, remember is a strong word. But yeah, it's written down. As we moved through the communal area, chatting and laughing, I felt a weight in my pocket. Pulling out my journal, I noticed a folded corner. That's strange, I murmured. What's up? I unfolded the corner and read aloud. Do not trust them. Find the old tape. Ben frowned. That doesn't sound like something you'd write. I don't remember writing it, I admitted, confusion clear in my voice. Maybe someone's pulling a prank, Ben suggested. but he didn't seem convinced. I stared at the note. Find the old tape? What does that even mean? Could be anything. Old music, a movie, or maybe something important. Ben pondered. Should we try to find it? I asked. Ben sighed, looking at the note. It might lead to more questions than answers, but hey, what's life without a little mystery, right? I nodded, determination setting in. Let's do it. Tomorrow, first thing after our memory catch-up, we start the hunt for the old tape. Little did I know, that note would lead us into a maze of memories, some best forgotten. The morning after finding the mysterious note, I began my search. Every day, between my regular journal entries, I'd find more notes. Look where the sun doesn't shine, read one. Another said, the truth is buried, just like the tapes. Ben and I would decipher these clues together. An underground archive? Ben mused one day, after piecing together hints from several notes. Sounds like something from an adventure novel. It does, I agreed. But why are these tapes so forbidden? And who's leaving these notes for me? One day, while exploring a lesser-known part of town, I felt a chill down my spine. I had the nagging feeling of being watched. Whipping out my phone, I started recording behind me. The street looked normal, but the eerie feeling remained. That evening, I showed Ben the footage. We saw nothing out of the ordinary until a shadow darted behind a building. It was quick, but something about its shape seemed familiar. The next clue said to visit the old well near the woods, I mentioned, trying to divert my mind. But the next morning, reviewing my recordings became a habit as necessary as reading my journal. And then, on one playback, the shadow appeared again. This time clearer, longer. Both Ben and I gasped simultaneously. The figure in the shadows looked like me. But how? Why would there be a shadowy version of you trailing you? Ben stammered, his face pale. I don't know, I admitted, my voice shaky. But we need to find that underground archive. Maybe the answers are there. As the days went on, the shadows grew bolder. I'd see them in reflections, lurking in corners, always just out of direct sight. Each time they resembled me more and more. My sleep became restless, filled with dreams of shadowy figures and forgotten tapes. Ben tried to reassure me. Look, once we find this archive and understand what's on those tapes, maybe these shadows will go away. I nodded, trying to believe him. Let's hope you're right. With Clara's network of contacts, locating the old tape became a feasible task. One evening in Clara's attic, amidst stacks of old records and tapes, she handed me a dusty cassette. This is it, she said, her voice heavy with anticipation. We sat down in front of her old VCR and pushed the tape in. Grainy footage showed a sterile-looking lab, buzzing with activity. Scientists in white coats hustled around, their faces determined. My heart skipped a beat when I saw a familiar face on the screen. A younger version of me, strapped to a chair, looking confused and scared. One scientist, her face familiar from my journal entries, began to speak. The subject, James, has shown remarkable adaptability to the memory extraction procedure. Our hypothesis is correct. Memories can be harnessed as an unparalleled energy source. Another scientist chimed in. We need to refine the process. Imagine an infinite loop of extracting and harnessing memories, a renewable source. The video ended with me, younger and petrified, being wheeled into another room. The weight of the revelation was heavy. Ben looked pale, Clara's hands were shaking, and I felt numb. We have to find that lab, Clara whispered. Following coordinates noted in my journal, Clara, Ben, and I found ourselves outside a dilapidated building, its walls consumed by ivy and time. Inside, the air was thick with dust and memories. Following the faded signs, we reached a room that looked like the one from the video. Rows upon rows of chambers filled the room, and within them, jars filled with a luminescent substance. Memories in their purest form. One jar stood out, pulsating with an intensity that was almost blinding. The label read, James. Clara, her voice filled with awe, whispered, This is your life, James. All your memories, every moment captured and stored here. Ben, gripping my shoulder tightly, added, and used as some sort of energy source. But why? And by whom? I approached the jar, my reflection dancing in its glow. I don't know, but we need to find out. The machine loomed in front of me, a spiderweb of wires and tubes connecting to a central console with a helmet-like device. Memories of my younger self, strapped to a similar chair, flooded back. I think I should try to connect, I muttered. My gaze fixed on the helmet. Clara hesitated. James, it's risky. We don't know what will happen. Ben chimed in. She's right. This could be dangerous. Ignoring their concerns, I replied, it's the only way to understand what's happening. To know why. Before anyone could stop me, I sat on the chair, placing the helmet on. The world blurred as memories surged back. I stood in the same lab, but it was pristine and alive with activity. I saw myself, not as a test subject, but as an active participant. Conversations with scientists, volunteering for the experiment, believing in their cause. The belief was firm. To shield society from their haunting memories and actions, from the pain of regrets and horrors they've inflicted or endured. A daily clean slate was seen as a mercy, a way to let humanity start afresh each day without the baggage of their past. Another memory surfaced, darker and more chilling. I was in a dimly lit room, the atmosphere thick with tension. In front of me was Clara, bound and terrified. I took a perverse joy in her fear, a thrill in the power I held. The sinister grin on my face was mirrored by other figures in the shadows, all reveling in their dark desires. I was back in the lab, scribbling frantically in my journal. Do not trust them. Find the old tape. It wasn't a warning. It was a challenge, a game I played with my future self. To relive the adrenaline, the thrill, to chase the echoes of my sinister past. Jolted back to the present, I gasped, removing the helmet. The weight of my memories bore down on me, making it hard to breathe. Clara, sensing something was amiss, approached cautiously. James, are you okay? I looked up, meeting her eyes filled with concern, oblivious to the horrors I had inflicted upon her. I remember, I whispered, my voice trembling. Ben, ever the protective one, stepped forward. Remember what? What did you see? The room was heavy with silence. The truth was a venom, threatening to spill from my lips. It wasn't an accident. The memory wipes, they were designed to protect us, from ourselves. Clara's confusion was evident. Protect us? From what? From me, I thought but dared not say. From our own dark actions, our hidden cruelties. The collective sins of humanity, wiped clean each day, to let us live another day without being haunted by our own nature. Ben, ever perceptive, caught the subtle shift in my demeanor. James, what did you do? Tears welled up in my eyes, not of sadness, but of overwhelming guilt. I hurt people. I hurt Clara. The notes, they were written by me, not as warnings, but as a game. To challenge myself, to rediscover the thrill. Clara's face paled, the weight of my confession hitting her. You did this to me? I nodded, unable to meet her gaze. The room was thick with tension, the air heavy with betrayal and disbelief. Ben, his voice cold and distant, said, "We need to leave. Now." The revelations of that day would forever change the dynamics of our group, shattering the trust that had bound us together. As we stepped out of the lab, the weight of my memories and actions pressed down on me, a reminder that sometimes it's better not to remember. The dim light of the lab flickered as Clara rummaged through a stack of videos. Her fingers halted on a tape, her face turning ashen as she read the label. James, Session 34. Placing it into the VCR, she hit play. It was me, but not the me Clara knew. This version of me spoke with pride, detailing cruelties I had enjoyed, outlining games I had created for future versions of myself to follow. Clara watched, aghast, as on-screen, I recounted with glee the torment I'd subjected her to. The video ended with a promise, my past self speaking directly to the camera. I will always find my way back to this thrill. You can't escape me. Tears streamed down Clara's face. You monster, she whispered, not to the screen, but to me. I was nearby, and our eyes met. The truth was out, the mask I wore shattered. Why? She choked out. Because it was fun, I replied, the chilling truth cutting the air. Clara's expression shifted from despair to determination. This cycle needs to end. Nobody should live like this. With a sudden burst of energy, she lunged at the central console, trying to rip out its wires. I raced towards her, trying to prevent her. Clara, don't! In her desperation, Clara hurled a heavy object at the row of glowing jars. As it hit, the jars shattered one by one, the glowing memories within igniting. Flames erupted, quickly consuming the old dried papers and wooden shelves. Ben, who had entered the lab, shouted, "Everyone out, now!" But Clara wasn't done. "This ends tonight," she screamed, toppling more shelves, ensuring the fire spread. The three of us bolted for the exit, smoke billowing behind us. The air was thick with the burning essence of countless memories, a mixture of good, bad, and downright evil. As dawn broke, the town woke to an unfamiliar feeling, a complete recall of not just the previous day, but of all their days, including the darkest ones. The streets were filled with confused faces, people confronted by memories they had long forgotten or never known. Miss Patterson, my old teacher, sat on her porch, tears streaming down her face, reliving some unspeakable grief. Young Timmy, the paper boy, stared in horror at his hands, perhaps seeing them stained with blood from some forgotten act of cruelty. Everywhere, people grappled with their newfound memories, their joys, their regrets, their sins. And then, as nightfall approached, the shadows began to emerge. Not just one or two like before, but hundreds, thousands. They were the manifestations of our darkest selves, born from the memories Clara had released. Ben, looking more aged and weary than I'd ever seen him, turned to Clara. "You've doomed us. These shadows, they're us, our darkest parts." Clara's face was lined with regret. "I thought it would set us free, but I've trapped us even more." I watched from a distance, my own shadow now free, a specter of my darkest desires. With nowhere to go and nothing left to do, I disappeared into the night, leaving behind a town haunted by its past. From that day forward, the town changed. Some couldn't handle the truth of their dark memories and descended into madness. Others formed groups, trying to make sense of their realities and support one another. But the most significant change was the nightly dance of the shadows, echoes of everyone's dark past, forever roaming the streets, reminding everyone of the day their past caught up with them.
I hope you enjoyed our episode. I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to you, our brave listeners. Your presence in this shared journey into the unknown is what fuels our stories. Your fascination is our motivation. Did this episode send chills down your spine? Then leave your comments, your thoughts and theories, your own midnight mysteries. Your feedback is the beacon that guides us through the uncharted territories of our stories. And if you haven't already, remember to subscribe to our channel. By joining the Midnight Mystery family, you won't miss out on a single chilling tale. As a subscriber, you'll be the first to know when a new episode lurks around the corner, ready to pull you back into the shadowy depths of the unknown. This is the Midnight Mystery signing off, leaving you with a simple reminder. When the clock strikes 12, fear the silence, for that's when our tales come to life. Good night, Midnight listeners. And remember, not all who wander into the dark are lost.